Welcome back to the Better Than Rich Show. This is Mike Abramowitz, and I'm telling you today's episode is a little different. And the reason why it's a little different is because it's going to be a two-part conversation. So I was invited as a keynote speaker. I've mentioned this on social media, and it was for an outdoor lighting conference called AOLP. And it's a really large organization, and a couple of our clients are in this organization. And I got invited to be a keynote speaker. I ran 2 workshops for them. The feedback that I got from the workshops was incredible. To give you an idea, I had over 40 people book one-on-ones with me after these talks out of a room of maybe about 200. That's all I could fit. The first talk, which is going to be this episode, was a conversation I've had with the group about finding their lead domino. And the concept of the lead domino is one that I'll break down in this message, but I could assure you, if you just approach this you can listen to it passively. There's some workshopping that I highly recommend you to do. But if you just think about your lead domino, the one thing in your business that if you just tip that over, it can create ripples in your business to buy back time and increase revenue. I really believe it could open up your mind. So again, a little bit of a different type of topic. It's not a conversation. It's not a podcast guest. It's me having a conversation with a live audience, but I really think you'll dig it. So here's a new take. Here's session 1 of 2 on the Better Than Rich Show podcast, tackling your lead domino.
Well, I'm pumped to be here. I know you guys may know me, maybe don't. How many guys got a message from me on Hoova? Anybody got a message? A couple in the back? Anybody else on Facebook or LinkedIn or email? So I had a couple conversations so far with some of you. I'm Mike Abramowitz. Thanks for having me. Really excited, and I just want to give a shout out to Darren, the Cell King. The Cell King. Can we get a round of applause for Darren, the Cell King here? You know, Darren, thank you so much. Darren tossed me in the ring to be a speaker. So this is my first time introducing myself and this concept to AOLP. So if you like it and it offers you value, then I would love the feedback. If you don't like this and it doesn't offer you value, keep that shit to yourself. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna do some workshopping. There's gonna be some of me like kind of setting a stage, but there's gonna be some interaction. You guys pair sharing a little bit, and we're gonna tackle your lead domino today. So the first thing, if you are taking any notes or you want to write anything down, or it's totally up to you. All these slides I'll get to you if you want them. You can take pictures of the slides. There'll be some reinforcement there. But what if you left this conversation, we have this workshop right now, and you could triple your revenue, work less hours, kind of like what James was talking about, without hiring a full-time team or burning out? Just like to imagine that for just a moment, right? See, studies show that 80% of business owners, they spend their time doing things that don't actually grow the business. They're spending time on like the grunt work. They're spending time on busy work. They're feeling busy, but they're not being productive. So what we want to do is we want to flip this. How many of you have ever felt this way in your business, where you're the bottleneck? Everything relies on you. Sales relies on you. Marketing relies on you. Talent relies on you. Hiring new team members relies on you, right? We want to get out of that rat race. We want to stop that, because we understand that if you stop working, oftentimes the business stops working too. And that's what we're here to nip in the bud a little bit. I used to believe that the only way my business could function is if I worked and grinded 60 plus hours a week. And it's actually not my fault. So if any of you guys could relate to this, it's not my fault. I witnessed my dad do that 6 days a week, running his business. He's run his own plumbing business now for 45 years. So my entire life, I witnessed him waking up, driving to work, coming back home, exhausted, and then rinse, wash, repeat for my entire life. So I got my ambition from my dad. I'm grateful for that. But he also missed a lot of my basketball games growing up, right? Any of you guys have kids in here? Show of hands. Good handful. I'm with you. So let's borrow some of my dad's ambition, but while also thinking a little differently. Just so you can get to know me just a smidge, I started my own business right when I was in college. I started in sales. And when I graduated with my engineering degree, I opened up my own office in direct sales. And I did every single role. So I did sales, I did recruiting, I managed my team, I did everything start to finish. So my entire 20s, I grinded, I worked my tail off, and eventually I reached a tipping point. And that tipping point happened I actually remember the specific day. This picture right here. If you know me well, you know I ran a nonprofit in Tampa called PB&J for Tampa Bay. So I started it. We provided over 100,000 meals to less fortunate. So I had my PB&J for Tampa Bay charity. I had 9 books. I was speaking. I was coaching. I was engaged in the schools and traveling, book signing, and then I had my direct sales business as well. So it was awesome until it wasn't. I was working and constantly in business, involved in stuff, networking meetings, all these things, but then something happened. What was that one thing? I fell in love. There was no way that I could sustain a relationship when I was married to my business. I was married to my business, but then I wanted to get married to my now wife, and it was impossible for me to be a family man with a business. I couldn't even balance my health. I wasn't even making time for the gym. I wasn't making time for friends. I wasn't making time for anything except just growing my business. And that was a problem that I didn't see. So, fell in love, I hired a business coach. 2016, hired a coach. He had experience in India scaling a company from $6 million to $30 million with a team of 1,400 underneath him. He came back to the States and started coaching small business owners how to corporatize their small business, helping them buy back time, install systems. So I hired him, and he helped me do that with my business. We fast forward a little bit, installed all these systems in the business, and we absolutely crushed it. 2020 came around, the world was ending with COVID. We provided over 1,000 jobs. We had predictability in the business. I took an 18-day road trip with my wife. The business was doing $100,000 sales weeks, absolutely crushed it, running without me. The real test happened though. If any of you guys know my story, I've been on like 100 different podcasts telling this story. December of 2020, New Year's Eve, my son was born. And my son was born at 1 pound 4 ounces. So when he was born, we didn't know how long we were going to be in the hospital with him, but we ended up being in the NICU for 8.5 months. So during that 8.5 months, my business ran without me because I made the choice to be a family man first and an entrepreneur second. But luckily, I put all those systems in place, and the business still did 1.3 million in sales during those 8.5 months without me there. When we got out of the hospital, that's where I'm at now, is to help other business owners. But I ask you the question, could you step away from your business for 8 months? What would happen? Could you step away from your business, could you go on a vacation? You're here right now. Is your business on vacation right now? Is your business still functioning right now? It's really important for you to understand predictability is what I'm trying to make the case on today. And that's what I'm here. I'm here to help you see what type of systems you have in place, peel back, go under the hood, and really ask the questions on how predictable is your machine? How well oiled is that machine, and can we help? So right now, I have found that there are 3 different types of business owners, and we obviously want to be the owner, but there's 3 different types. I've been all 3. The first one is the grinder. I don't know if any of you guys can relate. You're doing everything. Revenue depends 100% on you. You feel like you can never stop. You can't get away. At this stage of the business, there's maybe a lot of stuck. Nothing scales. The second stage is the operator. The operator is everything relies on you. Any of you guys get a phone call from a team member asking you a question, you hang up the phone, and then like a few minutes later, another team member, that same team member might call you again asking you another question. Have you ever played that game before? I know I have. It's just like, what? You're incompetent. Why don't you just know what to do, right? It's like a child relying on the parent. And if that's the relationship that you have in your business, it's okay. I've been there too. We're going to solve for that. The third type of individual is the owner. And the owner is really what I want for everybody. The owner is what I want you to experience. You only work on high-level tasks, your strategy, your lead dominoes. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to actually do a workshop with you here in a little bit. You could step away for weeks or months. And this is what happened for me, but it's also happened. This is a really good friend of mine, Andrea Bryant. She's here locally in the Tampa Bay area. We are both from the Tony Robbins community. Any Tony Robbins fans? Just curious. Any firewalkers? 2 firewalkers? All right, my people. So I'm a 7-time firewalker. So I used to travel with Tony Robbins and crewed on his team and stuff. So Andrea is a friend of mine. We had a community called the 2 Millimeter Club here in Tampa when I lived in Tampa for like 20 years. And she was a teacher for like 25 years. She said, I'm done being a teacher. She started her own business, knows nothing about business. Can any of you guys relate to jumping in the deep end? You don't know anything about business. You're like, I can figure this shit out, right? I'm smart, I'm resilient. Jumped into the deep end, to a home staging company. So she created a home staging company, and she was grinding 60+ hour weeks. She started telling me that her son chasing her, having like tough time. He's like in his teenage years. She's not spending much time with her husband, and like having some struggles. So we just looked at the business, kind of took a scope under the hood. We found all these places for her to create predictability. She has arthritis in her hands. Her hands were messing, like really hurting her. She couldn't be lifting couches as much anymore. I'm like, you shouldn't be lifting couches. You should not be lifting, you gotta pay someone to lift these couches. We restructured her entire business, and I'm proud to say that over the course of the last couple years now, she has 4x her revenue, and she's also taking vacations. Believe it or not, she's taking vacations now. She went on 2 girls' trips last year. She also went on a 10-day trip with her son Chase. Relationship is better than ever. That's what we want. We got to get out of this whole operator stuff. We got to get into this owner stuff. So I have 6 principles that I taught Andrea that I'm going to start talking to you about to whet the palate. This is kind of the meat, and then we're going to go into workshopping. So this is going to whet the palate for the workshopping. In fact, there's going to be coming around whenever you get a chance. Ann, this is Ann, by the way. Ann is here to help. Can you say hi, Ann? Hi, Ann. So, and we have little whiteboards, like dry erase boards for you to workshop on. So she's going to pass those around, as we're kind of going into this. But how do you get there? There's a system that I created. It's called the Time-Rich 6. There's 6 principles. This is where we're going to go through every one of these 6 principles to figure out which one is your lead domino. Which principle is where you need to spend your time if you want to buy back some time. So the first one is boundaries. So the question I ask for you, as far as boundaries go, for those of you that have kids, you ever get an incoming phone call while you're supposed to be with the family? You ever have that happen? You're on a vacation, you got calls coming in, and your partner might be okay with it. Your kids might even be okay with it. But they're always watching, and you ever like answer the phone call, you do it, you feel good, and then you go back and look at them, and there's like that feeling of like shame or guilt. Like, damn it. Maybe it's unspoken. Maybe you've never been there. I know I have, and it sucks. Let me ask you this question. Who's married in the room? If you got a call at 2 in the morning while you're making love to your spouse, would you answer that phone call? Hopefully. Who's calling? No. Don't listen to that. Here's the deal. That means hopefully, there's a boundary there, right? There's a boundary that you wouldn't take the call. So if you know that there's a boundary in that gross example, we got to figure out where are the other boundaries, what is out of bounds. If you play basketball, there's clear out of bounds. You must know what is out of bounds for you, your priorities in life, not business. In life, your business is a vehicle for your life. It is not your life. So principle number 1 is boundaries. Boundaries, working on the business. James, I don't know, is James still in this room? I don't know if James is in this room. The guy that was just speaking, he said, I asked him, what was his key systems? He said, get in the home, right? Get in the home. How do you get in the home if you're busy doing everything else? That's why we got to work on the business. We got to create a new strategy. One of the things I thought about when he said that, I took a little note here. I said, the old way got you here, and you need to have space to adapt. You need to have space to adapt. That's what I heard him say. He saw an opportunity for getting inside the home with fans, but he had to create a space to like mastermind and map that stuff out. It wasn't just flip the switch, we're going to go get fans. Like he had to have the time to work on the business. He couldn't he had to step away from in the business. And what it got me thinking is like legacy media versus like podcast guesting. And if you don't know what I mean by that is legacy media, anybody know how many people are watching legacy media? Like how many, like hundreds of thousands, maybe it might get to 1 million or 2 million views. Where like, Trump and his team, they went out, got 100 million views. If they didn't adapt, we're not getting politics, we're just talking marketing, right? Adapt or die. Does everyone understand that? That's what I heard James say. That's what I heard him say. He created adaptability in his business. That is a priority. We need to protect that. And if you're in the business, we can't be on the business. We got to create boundaries there. So this is what I followed for myself. Number 1 is business predictability. Everything lies on the foundation of business predictability. I want to have a predictable machine as a business so I can be present with my family and provide the leadership that my family needs, and also be able to create legacy and generational wealth for my family, my loved ones, my community, while also being able to be healthy and fit and be able to have enough energy to sustain the life that I want to have as a family-first entrepreneur. You could use this or come up with your own. What is your decision-making framework is essentially what I'm asking you. That might be a lead domino for some of you. My dad still works 6 days a week. As I mentioned, he's 83 years old, but he never made it out of the grinder or the operator's phase. Same type of business for 45 years. I don't want that for myself. I don't want that for any of you. My business partner created this slide for me. Do you suffer from dingpression? This is the calls that constantly come in, the constant reaction mode, constantly feeling like a firefighter. And I don't know if you guys use Slack or WhatsApp or what your internal communication channels are, but ultimately, if you're constantly checking text messages, emails, I kind of scan the room in the back, I always look and see where people's attentions are at, right? Like, what are your attentions? What's drawing you in? And if I used to get in this flow in the morning. I don't know if you guys know the flow where, I'm going to talk about this a little tomorrow, where it's like, check the text, check the email, check the internal communication channel. Then it's like, oh, let me send some of these messages off. Oh, the doom scrolling on social media. And then it's like, shoot, it's been like 45 minutes? The hell did I get done, right? So it's just like we enter in this reaction mode because not only do we not have the boundaries, but we don't have communication guidelines. We don't know how we want people to get our attention. So we just go to all these places where people could get our attention in all these different places. So these communication guidelines are really helpful for me. And I really believe that they're going to be helpful for you. What we want to do here is, if you're taking any notes, is we're creating an exceptional user experience, predictable experience for every user involved. Who are the users involved? Again, if you want to write these down, you as the owner is a user, and then you have your prospects, you have your clients, and you have your talent. So those are probably the people that are trying to get your attention. They're prospective clients, they're current clients, or they're team members, right? And then there's yourself. So we want to create a great user experience for everyone involved. So the question is, how do you do that? And that's why we have this map called the 10 Commandments for Communication Guidelines. Again, if you want to take these screenshots, you can. I know there's like small slides and stuff, but I'll give you all these slides here in a moment. But ultimately, what is your setup if someone wants to, like, how do you tell someone to email you versus text you versus call you? What's your rules of engagement for an in-person meeting versus a Zoom meeting versus a video? Do you have a frequently asked question library of like the same question over and over again? You just send them this, say, hey, go here first and then try to get in touch with me, right? Like for the different parties, how do they get your attention? So I have mine there of like what my preferred method of communication is. And then there's, just for you to try to consider what is your preferred method of how you want people to get your attention. So I told you I'll give you these slides. If you wanted these, you could go to betterthanrich.com/timerich. You could scan the QR code. Inside of all like the slide decks, there's a ton of more slides I have that have like small information on there. But inside the Power Pack is also like SOPs, playbooks, custom AI GPTs, because I'm talking tomorrow too. So I just put it all in one, so you'll see this again. But and also on those little whiteboards, the information is right on there when we do that little whiteboard drawing. So you could scan that or go to that website. You just enter your information, and then there's like the meta lesson there for you. Is I want you to pay attention because what I'm teaching is business systems, but I want you to experience business systems, right? So you opt in, and then what do you think is going to happen? You're going to get an email, right? And it's like, wow, that was fast. I got an email. And then it's going to put you into like this predictable sequence. It's like he's talking to me, but he sent me an email. That's so personalized, right? We're going to talk about smart delegation tomorrow a little bit more. But I also want you to see the meta lesson of what it looks like to create a good user experience in 2025. So I think that's important for you just to kind of get and just see and see what you think. All right, number 3 is systems. As far as systems go, I don't know if you could relate to some of these phrases where the business relies on you and the documented processes and stuff, but ultimately, the way you think about a system is a series of if-thens. If this happens, then I want this to happen. If someone submits their information, then I want them to get an email, as an example, right? If then. So I want to give you a few examples here to whet the palate, but before we go into this lead domino exercise. But just whet the palate. Darren, who we already recognized, this is one of his systems that we built out. So this is what a system looks like. A system is it looks like a flow chart. That's what a system looks like. So this is a referral and lead gen system. If this happens, then I want this to happen. If we get to the install, then we want to incentivize them with a gift card to give us referrals. Is it like it's a very predictable if-then. If they want to, and again, we have these slides, you could opt in, but if they give me their contact info, I want to send them something really cool. So Darren and our team, we created the 101 outdoor lighting solutions. It's a really awesome lookbook. It's a really cool lead magnet. So it gives inspiration so someone would be willing to give their contact info. They're like, market to me for this free thing. So it's like having like really good stuff to add value to your audience with specific if-thens. If they do this, then I could market to you. A couple other examples. This is the votes. I thought they were going to be here, but they're not. But Molly and Jeff, the votes, they're awesome, elegant accents. This is their if-thens. We did this for the client follow-up. So after the point of sale, if they buy, when they buy, right? How do I get back into the home for an annual maintenance plan? What is the predictable journey that I want to take this user on so I can get back in their home? So when Molly and Jeff, when we started talking, I asked them, how many did you do last year? And they're like, I don't know, maybe like 15 or whatever it was, like however many they got back into. Well, we created a whole map. I've been tracking their business. I've been with them in their business now for 9 months. And we got into 192 homes tracked with data. And from those 192 homes with our predictable system, we created 102,000 in extra new revenue to people who already bought initially. You guys see? But you got to figure out, what is the user experience? What happens at a light up? What type of communication do I want to send to them after the install? What type of information do I want to send them 6 months out before their annual maintenance plan? How do I keep their attention? Right? Those are types of things. So systems are really important. That's number 3. Systems. Number 4, playbooks. Who's the best team in the NFL? Some would argue the Miami Dolphins. Nobody would. Some might argue. Obviously, scoreboard says it's the Eagles, right? Scoreboard says it's the Eagles. They won. Here's what's so fascinating. If you think about it, the 2 teams that were in the Super Bowl, they both had quarterbacks that know how to run. If you watched football 20 years ago, that might be a little different story, right? Maybe in 30 years ago. So adapting is pretty important. But not only did they adapt, can you imagine if you're watching the Eagles and the coach runs out on the field and says, hey, I'm going to run this play, quarterback, take a seat. I'm also going to kick the ball. Even more fascinating, imagine the owner of the Eagles coming down and running and calling plays or running plays. Hey, kicker, I got this one. Ridiculous, right? That's what it looks like when you, if you're a business owner, doing the stuff in the business, right? They have plays, right? They're plays. It's not like, hey, you guys stay over here. There's a playbook. There's a playbook for predictability because the number 5 is delegation, is team. We got to have a playbook. So the problem that I see business owners have is that we train someone, but then we still do it ourselves. That's not predictable delegation. You hire someone to do the job, but then they're still relying on you. So that's why we have to have documentation. That's what a playbook is. Documentation. Who, not how. You ever read that book, Dan Sullivan, Who, Not How? Gap in the Gain, 10x is easier than 2x. Highly recommend not only just reading the resources, but implementing it into your business. This is a who is going to follow the playbooks, but we got to create those playbooks. If you want help with all of those SOPs, standard operating procedures, playbooks, in that same resource that I gave you, there's probably like 20 or 25 playbooks in there that you could just plug and play into your business. So that those are there for you. There's 2 types of when it comes to playbooks. One thing I do, actually, you know what? Who in here is using ChatGPT? Anybody using ChatGPT a little bit? Okay. I'm going to just show you this little impromptu real fast. Okay. So this is ChatGPT. So on ChatGPT, we want to create a predictable playbook. And this is more of my talk tomorrow. But these have saved me hundreds and hundreds of hours. But one of my favorite playbooks is my inbox management playbook. Okay, that's inside there. But my inbox management playbook is awesome. So Anna's one of my assistants. She's one of my virtual assistants. So I don't know if you could see where it says Anna writing as Mike. Do you see that? So this is something called an ATB. This is inside the Power Pack. It stands for Avatar, Tone, and Brand. So this custom GPT right here is trained. This is trained on my avatar, which I call Henry. High earner that's not time rich yet. Henry has a family. Henry wants to buy back time, right? So that's the avatar. The tone is, how do I write for Henry? And then the brand is better than Rich and time rich and all the stuff that we're talking about. So I trained this writing as Mike ChatGPT, so that way Anna can write like Mike. You guys see where I'm going here? So anytime someone emails me or she needs to send an email, she uses this custom GPT, writing like Mike. Can you create an email for Catherine by sending this PDF? Can you write a separate email and text message to Howard and see if he can move his call with Mike? You know, here's a longer email. Kindly write a response to this email. Use AI to respond to him. So my VA is able to manage my inbox. So if I go to my Gmail, if I go to my business email that she manages, so these emails, if I go to send, she's able to send and fire off all these messages for me using my tone, and then she's able to handle these responses for me. And you can see there's all these different tags, a lot of spam and ads and stuff. But then if it's for me, she puts it in my for Mike label. And if it's for her, that she'll do later, she'll put it in hers. So it's able to get tagged. And you can see there's a lot of hoovas in here, right? So this ATB framework is something, again, I'm going to teach this more tomorrow for smart delegation. But it's inside of that resource I gave you. It looks like this on the side. It's called Delegating Your Writing Style, and then also Delegating Your Inbox. So it's inside the Power Pack. If you scroll down to the Playbooks section, that's where it is. Highly recommend you to create a playbook on how to offload predictable communication, as an example. There's tons. There's playbooks for everything. Every single box in Darren's flow chart has a playbook. Every box has a playbook. Does everyone understand? So you create the system with all these if-thens, but then you build predictable, documentable communication for each of those boxes. Okay. I'm going to take a breath for just one moment and just say, if any of you want help on this, the rest of today and all day tomorrow, I have like 10 spots. Find Ann, who's over there, and she'll like just mark you down, and I will build out whatever the hell you need built out. Free, just like while we're here at the event, I leave tomorrow. So she has my schedule, happy to build any of this stuff out with you one-on-one, just FYI, okay? Because I know it's a lot. But this is something I wanted to share with you. So let me just show you real quick. So before I play that video, I just want to, who said they got an email from me, or a Hoova message from me, or a LinkedIn message from me, or a Facebook message from me? Awesome. Okay. I handled every response. I want to make sure everyone's clear. So if you got a response, that was me. Thank you for laughing. That was me. But this is the playbook. This was the play that I ran. And I wanted you to see the meta lesson, but more important than the meta lesson, I want you to see, how is this relevant to your business? Imagine for a moment every prospect on your LinkedIn, your social media, your email, your text. You have a VA back at home right now, nurturing relationships with prospects. Also, all your current pre-existing clients, nurturing relationships with them, managing your stuff, speaking as you, and all you do is just kind of handle responses as you see fit. This is what that looks like. One, copy the name, paste it into this filter, and find the person. And then click where it says say hi, go to the ChatGPT response, copy the response, copy paste. We have up to 1,000 characters, so that's good to know. And then say hi, this looks good. And then we go to the sheet, and then we mark the box that says initial Hoova message sent. That's it. The thing we do is we copy the whole line of the next person, Steven, and let's see the message it creates. So copy, click say hi, copy paste. Hey Steven, I saw you're attending. Say hi, done, and then click the checkbox. Okay?
So now we're going to proceed to Kevin, and then go to ChatGPT and paste his details and copy the same prompt.
This is delegating, not dumping.
Send and wait for the response. While waiting for the whole response.
I do, you do. You watch me, I watch you.
And then there's the result.
Smart delegation.
In Canva, click say hi, paste the message. It's for Kevin, and to make sure it's Kevin Hunt, and then click say hi, and go to the sheet, go back to
Kevin
the
Hunt
sheet,
in the room.
Make sure to mark
Hey Kevin.
it.
Hey Kevin. So I hope you see this. I'm curious. I do want to source the crowd for just a moment. When you see this, does anything like jump out at you on how like this would be relevant to you? This concept. Just curious. If anyone wants to bring their voice in the space. I'd love to bring a voice in the space. Yeah, go ahead, and then we'll go over here.
How do you turn that into an action list?
Great.
Just reaching out and saying, hey, thanks for the deal, blah, blah. How your appointment is,
Yeah.
let's, look at my schedule, put me on an appointment to go see.
Yeah, I use Calendly, but yeah, there's so many tools on that. 100%. Easy.
For the chat
but to use it would connect it. Tomorrow, my talk is smart delegation. It's actually like, how do you put this into the business? How do you actually smart delegate? Today's talk is an overview of everything. Find the lead domino. And oftentimes, once you figure out the main thing, there's going to be these small things that we got to follow. And this is one of those. That's why Playbooks number 4. Tomorrow's going to be a lot about like how to build those playbooks. But when you see this, what was your name? Andy. What is it? Andy?
A-N-D-Y.
Andy.
Andy.
Hey, thanks. Sorry. What shows up when you see this?
When I see it, we do a lot of that stuff, but it's manual. We do a lot of manual stuff. We repeat the same thing. You know, to be able to have a playbook, to be able to give that to somebody else. The video kind of spoke to me a little bit because that's easy. I'm already doing those things. But to be able to communicate that way, it just kind of spoke to me that there are better ways.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear what they are.
Yeah. I'll see you tomorrow. See the hook. Got to show up then, right? Please.
So just a little critique, because I did get the.
Oh no. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
The beginning of it was like AI generated to some extent. How do we prevent that?
How
do we make it more?
Here's the deal. I could have done a whole number of things. I was just using it because I'm bringing up to the message. I'm bringing it up here. The title of my talk, it's like, if you got the message and you didn't think anything was strange about it, then I didn't do a good job with my messaging, right? I wanted you to experience how, I wanted the seed to be planted for you to say, I know this isn't him, but that's kind of interesting. How is he able to do that at scale and send 200 messages without him doing it himself on an app that doesn't have there's no function on mass messaging, right? So that's that. I wanted to seed smart delegation. I appreciate the critique, but
I'm here, so you got me.
That's all it was. It was just, curious. That's what, but to answer the question, that's the ATB, right? We do want it to be using an avatar, tone, and brand, but I appreciate that. All right, this idea of team, okay? I overheard a few people kind of talking about this with hiring, as especially in the responses on Hoova, how talent acquisition is a challenge. I'm having a hard time finding really good people. There's 2 different types of people that you want to add to your team. There's doers and there's experts. So there's experts that you want, they already know what to do, and you got to attract them the right way. And then there's doers where it's I'm going to train you the right way, and I want you to follow it a certain way. And you've got to put a process together for those people that you're hiring, but we do need somebody executing those plays. And how we hire them and how we bring them into an organization is really important. And just to give you a couple of examples, this is Dustin Riekman. This is just to give you an example of an administration operation. So an administration, a team of doers, these are the things that they're doing for Dustin. What does he have them doing? Dustin has them doing everything from LinkedIn outreach and handling his inbox and managing all of his emails, CRM, data entry, podcast guesting. These are all under the umbrella of what our team does for him. So you just have a team of administrative operators doing anything that involves clicking buttons or sending messages or something like that. When it comes to more of experts, you want to have some sort of system where every time someone quits or gets promoted, you have a predictable way of hiring, training, and onboarding them and raising them in a healthy way so that way they can meet standards predictably. Why do people quit? Their experience is not meeting their expectations, period. Now, why does someone get fired? Your experience is not meeting your expectations. So we just want to get really clear on that in an onboarding process. So we built this out with Alex. Every time someone comes through a system, it's a drop and reload to replace or train them up. And we saved him 10 to 15 hours of his time every time he needs to hire or train someone. So having predictability with your talent is really important, and you leverage your doers to be involved in the talent acquisition process. Inside of that Power Pack, there's a better, more new framework for AI and a tech stack, CRMs, automations, all of that. That's the bottom of that Power Pack. It can be very overwhelming with all the different tech solutions that are out there. So just to try to keep it as simple as possible, you want to automate low-level tasks. We're going to talk about this more tomorrow. You want to have preset client journeys so every single lead moves through the system in a predictable way. And you want to leverage a CRM, AI, scheduling tools like a Calendly, and just having a lot of that built out. Too many people get stuck in the weeds with new, better, more, right? The new thing, let me just try to be, we just say better, more, new. Let me get better at this thing. I'm gonna do it more frequently, and then I'll explore some new stuff. Once this is kind of expired or outdated, better, more, new when it comes to tech has been something that's really helped me. So my suggestion is we go through these 6 principles, but where the heck do you start? Oftentimes we're trying to tackle every single one of them and nothing gets done, and hence the lead domino concept. So what we want to do is we want to figure out what is the one thing that moves everything. What is the one thing that creates momentum for your business specifically? You hear the context, you hear the overview. I know it's like a lot of lecture-y to set the stage, but this is where the action happens. More than likely, you already knew the one thing before I started talking, but hopefully you really know the one thing now. So I want you to think about if there was one problem that could free up your time and eliminate bottlenecks, create more consistency in your business, what would that one thing be? And write that one thing down on your little whiteboard. Write that one thing down on what you think your lead domino is. What is your one thing? What is your one thing? And you can raise your hand if you need a whiteboard. Anybody need one? And it might be one of these. It might be your lead flow. It might be delegating admin tasks. Where are you in reaction mode? It might be the communication guidelines. It might be I gotta put boundaries. I constantly am in distraction reaction mode. So what is it for you? It might look like this. I gave you an example. So you might put on create a system with Playbooks where every team member is trained on how to upgrade client orders and ask for referrals. That might be a lead domino for you. Or streamline our onboarding and training of new team members so we can have predictable hiring processes in place. That might be an example of what you write on your whiteboard. Obviously, this is for you. And there's a reason why I have these little whiteboards. This is why I'm doing this, is because ideally you keep this with you. And then once you start tackling this and build momentum, you erase it, and then you create your next lead domino. And this one is already creating momentum. It's moving in motion. And then boom, you have your next one. I love the whiteboard concept because it's small. Keep it in your book bag. Write it down. Keep it on your desk. And just keep it with you and update it. Update it. Lead dominoes, start it. What's the concept? Push it down, creates momentum, and then I'm going to come over here. I'm going to create another lead domino, knock that one down, and we build momentum. Build momentum. So what's your one thing?
Sales.
Sales? Who said that? Oh, sales. So here's one thing I would say. Sales, there's a difference between selling and sales process, right? What I mean by that, sales process is a predictable client journey. Sales is the negotiation, like closing, right? Selling is the negotiation, like closing, and like tactical. Build rapport, build value, create a problem, offer a solution, specific needs, price comparison, competition, offer, drop down. Like that's like how to sell. Sales process is every language I say inside of marketing matches everything that happens in sales, which is also the same when I onboard them and is clear expectations that is the same language as marketing and allows for referrals, reviews, and ratings and ascension offer because the language in the entire client experience is all consistent so their experience meets their expectation. Sales process is a little different than sales. So when I hear sales, which one is it? It might be a both end, which is fine, but that's 2 dominoes then. Do we need to increase closing percentage because my sales team needs to get more transactions? Our closing percentage is 22%, and we have an opportunity instead of 1 out of 5 people buying on the spot, we want to move the needle where 2 out of 5 people buy on the spot, and that raises our metrics and our numbers by 20%, sales. Or is it we have people dropping off the client journey at all these different pinpoints, and they're dropping off during the sales process where we actually don't even get to the negotiations because we're missing them. That's the process. Does everyone see that? Obviously, you were the one who wrote sales, so it triggered the thought. But does that make sense? So for you, for which one do you think it would be as a lead domino? I got to fix that one first.
Well, I'm going to push back and be like, my domino is ahead of both of those dominoes. So both dominoes need to happen after this domino happens.
Both dominoes need to happen after this domino. So what would that one be?
The whole thing, man. It's the support, the process, and the closing.
This is where, again, if we try to do both at the exact same time, this is where, from my own experience with business, is something doesn't get full attention. And if we get two things getting half attention, then more than likely it delays the entire process. It doesn't actually create the ripple that we want with dominoes. It potentially stalls. Not say yours will stall. This is just my 20 years in business and what I've seen with just the hundreds of business owners I've interacted with, it creates stall. So if we want to eliminate the distractions and we want to not have stalls, one main thing.
So I would assume that everybody in this room would love to have more sales in general, right?
Of course.
So what would be your recommendation for the first domino under that category?
That's what I'm asked. That's the question on the table.
So leads.
Potentially. It could be, because if I give you more leads but you put them into a shitty funnel, they're not going to convert. Some of you might have really good lead flow, but a terrible funnel. Some of you have a really good funnel, but terrible lead flow. Some of you have a great lead flow with a great process, but terrible salespeople. Some of you have great lead flow, great process, great salespeople, but when you onboard them, they back out because whoever's doing the install does a terrible job, so your fulfillment needs work. So I don't know what your lead domino is inside your sales process, but more than likely there's a pain point, a bottleneck somewhere to help drive more sales. It could even be the referrals. Automated follow-up system, that might be a great one, right? Team members, so talent, so team members might be, again, that's one of those things where it's like, is it attracting quality team members? Is it a hiring and interview process for the team members? Is it training them in a healthy environment where I retain them? Is it the meeting cadence for these, so I raise them in a healthy environment where they have autonomy and they're excited about their work? Is it their compensation plan where they have incentives to work hard along with a base for security? I hope you're like seeing it from a lens of it's like specific. If it's too general, it's like it opens up, yeah, that's what I want. I want you to leave this talk and say, that's the one thing. And now we create an action plan for that one thing, okay? So go ahead at your tables, partner up, 2-3 people at most, no more than 3, have the discussion. We already started the discussion, continue the discussion. But if you want me to build this with you, and you like are really digging this concept, and you're like, yes, do it for me while we're here. Like I was just talking to David, he's like, I want to build my Facebook ad onboarding where it's like I can qualify them before I go to their home, so I'm not wasting 15 minutes at the home and driving there and stuff, and I'd like to qualify them before I book the call and just create that sequence. Great. David let's just build it out. That might take us 20 minutes maybe, but that way it's done. It's action. This talk is not about cool concepts. This talk is to whet the palate, but then ideally we leave here with an action plan. Does everyone follow me? So if you feel like you have an action plan, you don't need me, great. But if you would like extra help, I'm speaking again tomorrow. I have another workshop on smart delegation. And the rest of today, I'll be at the expo booth. And all day tomorrow, this is all I'm doing. I'm here to just help make sure you guys win. Why? I told Nick, I want to help this niche because there's so much area of opportunity in home services. I've been in like the thought leader space and coaches and like authors and like that space for a while. And I'm like, home services, this is where it's at. Are you kidding me? Like you have so much upside opportunity and I have so much value to offer. So that if you get value and I can help you win, tell Nick, and then Nick will have me do like webinars and like come back maybe for future events and stuff like that. Let's bring some voices into the space. I want to hear from you. What happened? What did you guys talk about at your tables? Just so I know how many people have a thought that they'd like to bring into the space. And we could do some workshopping right now. Like bring it up, let's talk, just so I have an idea on how to use this next 30 minutes. How many people have something that they want to bring up from their table? We got 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll start with those 4, okay? We'll see what comes up. We'll jam a little bit, and then we'll see how we go from there. Everyone feel good about that? Okay? If you are an expert at whatever comes up from these 4 and you have an answer, awesome. You could totally jump in and say, this is what we've done, but just be cognizant of the time because that gives us about 7 minutes per, and then I can wrap up. Does everyone follow? We good? Cool. Tell me your name. Bill. Guys, it's Bill. Can we give Bill some love real quick? Bill. It's Bill. Bill, what came up in your conversation?
The main issue that we were discussing is lead generation. I'm still in the grinder mode, trying to make it out, but without the leads,
Lead
to
generation.
provide the income to pay the employees that you need to have in order to get.
Okay. Okay. Does everyone, just to repeat, grinder phase, I need lead generation, but I also don't want to spend a ton of money because
I need to pay employees.
I got to pay my talent. So I got to pay my team. So if I'm spending too many dollars on lead gen, then I'm compromising the money I'm bringing into my team members, and they're going to be pretty upset.
But actually, I'm not even paying a lot of the talent because I am the talent.
So I am the talent. I am the business, man. Anybody know who said that? Let's talk. Let's jam on this. Does everyone think this is a good topic? Great topic. Let me just hear what the other 3 topics are. Not that we're not going to avoid bills, but I wanted to see what the other topics were. Who were the other 3? Just so we know. What was your topic?
I wanted to find a way to automate like obtaining and asking for referrals and reviews.
Referrals and reviews process.
Yes.
Anybody like that topic? That's a good topic too. Which kind of ties in because referrals are bottom of funnel, but they kind of come back to the top of the funnel. So, and they're cheap leads, and they're fans, they're qualified. Those might potentially connect. What was the other one? What was your name?
Yeah, my name is Billy.
Billy.
Yep. And so we have pretty good lead flow at this point, and so we're kind of on that next stage of making sure we're nurturing those leads after the projects are sold. Like now we have a sold project. We have 14, 15 projects to install, and making sure that, you know, from the time it's sold to the time that we show up to the installation, client communication, the client experience, and the client journey is meeting expectations. So that way, you know, we're running the business efficiently.
Sure. So just to make sure everyone heard, it's making sure that it's predictable between point of sale and the installation, so the expectations are being met. Is that correct? Does anybody feel like that's a good topic for you?
It's great.
A lot of head nods on that one too. Great. That one's a little different. And what was the other one? What was yours? What was your name? John. Guys, it's John. Sorry, go ahead.
John G.
John G, what was yours?
Onboarding, training, design, sales.
Design sales?
Yeah.
So training and onboarding new salespeople. Okay, great. Anybody think that one's a good topic? Onboarding and training sales team. All right, we got some good. So it's kind of 3, because the automation for the leads and the automation and referral kind of can pump into generating leads in a cost-effective way. So I'm just going to combine those. Is that okay? We combine generating leads in a cost-effective way. We got nurturing clients between point of sale and install event. And then we have predictable onboarding of your sales team. And is it finding salespeople, or is it I already have good people, but I need to train them? I need to train them. So predictable training for salespeople. All right. These are 3 really good topics. Okay. So I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not, but this is essentially what we mapped out. All right. For predictability on lead flow. Now, we modified it since this, so it's not 100% up to date, but it will give at least a good idea. So we're looking for leads. What we have here is new prospect completes a form on a website. So that's step number 1, is when someone completes a form on the website. Now, we obviously need to drive people to the website. How do we get people to the website? They can't complete a form if we don't drive people there. So let's take a step back. What are all the pathways? Shout them out. All of you know the answer to this. What are all the ways I can drive people to a website form? Shout them out. What is it? What did you say? A van wrap. A van wrap. Thank you. What else? Google's great. It's a little expensive. Could be expensive, but go ahead. Social media. Specific on social. What else? Newsletter. Instagram. Just Meta in general. QR codes. Tinder. My man over here. We're talking all avenues here, okay? But that's the way you want to think. That's our marketing hat, right? Everything, and ideally the things that are free. I mean, so like, we do need to have a social media channel. We do need to have, and that's free. It doesn't cost anything. And the question then becomes, how do we get attention on the social media page, right? How do we get there? You could do a bunch of different things. What we're doing with Darren is we have his VAs. Darren, what are your VAs doing? Just like finding people on LinkedIn?
Yes and no.
Like potential partners, right? So the strategy here is who in your industry, who is not a direct competitor but sees the same people as you? Landscapers, right? Pavers, architects, right? Builders. So it's like finding those people and marketing to them, getting their attention and say, hey, by the way, my client is the same as your client. What might it look like for us to advertise or cross-promote services. That might create some lead flow, right? So it's partnerships. Now it's a whole different strategy, but that's an idea that you could chew on. So it's like, how do we drive traffic to that opt-in? My favorite is referrals. And that's what we built for Darren because it's the most cost effective. So if we look at the end, right here, when we ask for referrals right here. We ask for 5 leads. I think we changed it to 3. We ask for 5 leads, we changed it to 3, and we say something like this. Have you heard about our referral program? Our graphic designer created this for Darren. Have you heard about our referral program? Unlock $850 in free rewards. Here's how it works. 3 referrals today to get a $50 gift card. 1 purchase, it's a free light for you and a free light for them. And ask how you could get a free light today. And we modified it a smidge, but it just kind of gives you an idea. So we created a program as an incentive to inspire introductions. And when we have an introduction, we pump them into a form and they fill out the form. What are they filling out the form for though? They're filling out the form for the button to the lookbook. Does everyone see? What is the lead magnet? The lead magnet is the reason why I want to chat with you. I don't want to sell you lights. I want to inspire the desire for lights. Who do you know that might enjoy a lookbook? It's not who do you know that needs new lights. Does everyone see? So you sell the lead magnet because we're taking them through a journey. And then we sell them on the concept of a lookbook of your lights or whatever your lead magnet is. And then after the lead magnet, it's like, hey, by the way, did you see some stuff in the book that I'd love to give you a free estimate on some stuff. Do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions? Qualify them. Great, let's book up an appointment if they're qualified. And then you can kind of take them through the flow. So referrals and all these other outlets drive traffic to a form, make them opt into something so you capture their information. Where is that information getting captured? Anybody know the 3 letters inside of a CRM? You gotta have a CRM. You could probably, many of you guys use House Call Pro. We use Go High Level. There's a lot of CRMs out there, some more cost effective than others. You capture their info, so now you can automate follow-ups. You can have predictable communication, send them newsletters, give value adds. Bill, I don't know if it directly answers your question. Hopefully it gives some inspiration, and then you add some partnership layers here. Again, if you want me to build any of this out with you one-on-one, Ann, do I have any spots left? Yes, we saw a few spots for tomorrow. Find Ann. You can book a couple. Oh, just booked it. Okay, tell me your name. Joe. So point of sale. So the sale is made. They put down a 50% deposit at the point of sale. We send them some invites for the light up. Then we book the install visit at the end of the sale. They get an immediate text message and an email confirming exactly when that appointment is and setting expectations for that appointment. We put them through a reminder sequence inside of their CRM, which uses Go High Level for this, which has an automatic email and text, and then there's a call at a specific time from someone in their company with a video priming them for the light up ceremony. It's a big deal. Nighttime light up. So one of the things we did, this is a really cool idea, is we talked about sending a video saying something like this. Hey, it's personalized, so it's a little extra step. Hey, Ms. Jane, super excited for your light up that's happening on day and time. Now again, I don't know how many you're doing. How many are you doing a month? How many light ups? How many installs?
10 to 15.
So you could easily do this, handle this as the owner. It's not long, 30 to 60 seconds, but here's what's cool. The light up is going to be amazing. Here's how it's going to flow. I'm going to bring a bottle of wine. We're going to celebrate. I have a little gift for you as well. I'm going to bring some treats. I would love for you to invite any people that are close to you, relatives, family, neighbors, who might want to share this experience with you because it's a really big deal. Something like this. Thank you so much, because ultimately, who knows what we're trying to do? We're trying to corral a group for what? Referrals. Does everyone see the concept? Concept, that's what we're trying to do in so many words, in so many. So then we put them through this reminder sequence. Then we do the lighting, the lights are installed, and then there's a nighttime light up. Now for them, they're showing up to the light up. Now different businesses, different models, whatever it might be, but they're showing up to the light up for this reason, for generating referrals, fostering the relationship, adding to the lifetime value of the client. That's essentially what they're doing, and they're asking for some referrals. Here, They ask for referrals in other places, but this is where we said, let's really ask for referrals, add that incentive, the gift card. If they just get me one person booked right here on the spot, that's kind of what we landed on, something like this. That's essentially the flow between point of sale and also the install. Training sales, okay. Does anybody relate to this one where you need to train salespeople? How many of you guys are the salespeople? All right, so this might be helpful for you, but this is also really how you can replace yourself. So here's what's important about understanding sales. Sales, if you understand Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell, really great book, I highly recommend it. You need to understand the hierarchy, the replacement ladder. It's administrative, marketing, fulfillment, then sales, okay? Then leadership. And that's the replacement ladder of where I replace me. Administrative is $25 an hour work. We're gonna talk about this tomorrow. Then there's like marketing, which might be $50 an hour. And then there's fulfillment, which might be like $75 an hour. But sales is like, it could be like $100 to $1,000 plus an hour work or more. So it requires a little bit of nuance with the training. So here's what I would suggest. Number one, you need to have a predictable manual of what baseline means to sell for your organization. Number one. So if you're the salesperson, you need to sit down and really think about what exactly am I doing from first point of contact to last point of contact that I would want the salesperson to do. So that includes, how do I build rapport? When I'm building rapport and connecting, what are the questions I'm asking? How am I connecting with them? When I personally, direct sales, I'm a Cutco, that's my background, Cutco Kitchen Knives, vector marketing. So I personally have 1,000 people who bought Cutco from me at their kitchen table. And then I've trained over 5,000 people that sold about $19 million worth of Cutco products. So this is my jam. So I really, what I did with this situation, what are the questions? Number one, how can I get to the kitchen? Now you guys are doing outdoor lighting. But I would say, how do I get in the kitchen? Because two things happen. Number one, I'm now not a stranger. I am in their home. I can ask for a glass of water. But most importantly, number two, is I can see the pictures on the walls. And I could use that as a way to connect where it matters. I want to see what they like. I want to see, do they have family pictures? I want to see if they're a sports fan, or I want to see if they have like flowers. Like, I want to know a little bit more about them inside of their space. So the question becomes, how do I build rapport and connect at a deep level, meaningful, deep rapport, not surface rapport, like beautiful weather today, ma'am, right? Like that's just bullshit, like that's not great rapport. I want to connect deep to know, how do they spend their money? What couch do they have? What type of fridge? If they got a Sub-Zero fridge and a Viking stove, that's good information, right? It's not bad information if they have like a regular generic brand, General Electric, but it's really good information if I know they appreciate quality and like nice things, right? So getting into the home, step number one, how do I do that? Build a playbook. Step number two, how do I create credibility for doing business with me? Meaning, what's my differentiator? How do I differentiate from any other landscape person in the industry that they might come in contact with, number one? But number two, how can I make sure that they see value in spending their money on landscape lighting versus spending their money on anything else in their home? How do I do that? Because everyone's trying to get their attention and their dollars, but how do I do that? How do I build that credibility? It might be how long you're in business. It might be how many clients lifetime you have. It might be the personalized approach that you have. Like, what is your differentiator? What is your mission, your values, family operated, whatever it might be. That's where you're like, how do I bring that into the space? Number three, how do I stir up a little bit of pain and problems if they don't do whatever it is that I want them to do? For example, if you're selling outdoor lighting, what is a pain point for outdoor lighting? So let's take a walk. Tell me what you're thinking about where you might want your lights. Like, I really want this, right over here. Tell me why. Like, why is that important for you? Well, this and this, and then I want to stir up. Like, oh, like it just gets dark. It like kind of looks a little gloomy. The neighbors' houses look so much nicer. It's like, yeah, like I hear that all the time. In fact, Jane Smith, she had a friend over, and Jane's friend, it's kind of embarrassing, actually called her out and was like, your house kind of looks like haunted, when that light is dark. I don't know. I don't think you have a friend that does that to you, but that was really funny when Jane said that to me. Like, that's a third person example, a story on how you might be able to stir up pain in a buying process that doesn't make someone feel like shit. As an example, your industry, we used to do that with the knives. Like, oh, you got wood handles. Ooh, Hey, you probably already know this, but it's like festering with bacteria and the oils from your hand, like, like whatever your version of that might be, right? So you got to just train your people on whatever your process is on how do you stir up pain and problem, and then how do you solve for that problem. And that's why with Jane Doe, Jane decided to get our permanent lighting structure so it will never look haunted again, right? Like I said, whatever that might be. That's solutions. Then it's the specific needs. I would go into specific needs of like, you need the permanent lighting, but let me show you all the uses of everything else. The audio, the ceiling fans, like any, holiday lighting, whatever you guys are doing. What is the process there? Then it's competitors and competition. And it's like, listen, you don't have to do this. You could go the cheap route and you could save a bunch of money, and this is the consequences of doing that. Or you could go like a high end route, and this is what you would spend. So they have an idea of where you're going to be as far as a ballpark comes, and then you transition into the negotiations. And then it's like, cool, I'm going to go ahead, I don't know if you do this, but I'm going to go ahead and run out to my car real quick. I'm going to write up an estimate for you. While I'm in my car writing up the estimate, here's our referral program if you just want to take a peek at it. If you liked everything so far, if you like everything that you experienced, that's what I get paid to do. That's my job. That's why they hired me a part of the company. That's the training, right, for the new salesperson. So my job is to do 5 of these every single day. I want to introduce lighting to the world, representing my company that I'm proud of. So I just do 5 of these. So if you want to introduce me to a couple people, you get a $50 gift card today. But I'll run out to my car. I'll be right back with your estimate. And the more names you have on that sheet of paper, the lower the price will be on my sheet of paper. Just FYI, little joke, right? All right. That's essentially, and then you go, how do you close? What is the negotiation process? How do you write down the prices? Are you circling the big price or are you circling the small price? Do you circle anything at all? Is there an installment plan? Is there a deposit program? Right, like all of that, how you negotiate, and you sit your happy butt down and you document it play by play by play by play, taking them through this predictable sales presentation, so that way anybody who's working in your company does the exact same thing. Why? If you want to scale, you must have predictability if you want to be an owner. If not, enjoy being an operator working 60 hours a week for the rest of your life, because now you're not only in charge of sales, you're also in charge of the leadership, and you might even be in charge in the marketing, and you might be in charge in fulfillment and client fulfillment and the installs, and you also might be enjoying all the administrative stuff too. Predictability is what we're going for, and that's what I would want you to document, and then you bring that into your training, and that's your training for these new salespeople. And then there might be field training. Watch me do it. Then we go back to the laboratory and we discuss, what'd you learn? Do you see how I did this, this, and this, and this? And then you'd have weekly trainings of like, this scenario popped up. Did you notice that scenario? Yeah, how did I handle it? Great. Add that as advanced training notes. Here's your next step. And do I have any spots left over? I got a couple left over. If you want to meet with me one-on-one, I will build any and all of this out with you one-on-one while I'm here. Obviously, if you want to book it for like over Zoom when we get back home, you could just go to the link, betterthanrich.com/GSD session. That will just take you to my calendar, and you could just book a session with me back home. And I call it a GSD session, get shit done, because there's masterminds, there's coaches, there's courses, and I feel like that's just obsolete now. Like nobody wants to sit down and learn more stuff, they want to get stuff done, and that's what we do for that like 45 minutes to an hour. You come in, you fill out a form, you say, this is what I want built, this is what I want done, I show up with you, and I build it with you, and I get it done. That's essentially what I'll do with you. Now you might say, Mike, why would you be willing to do that? It's because no one did that for me. I had to learn how to do this, and I spent a lot of money figuring it out. I hired people, I still pay coaches, I had to figure it out. And this is my coming out party to this space, thanks to Darren. That's why I'm so grateful for this man to invite me into a space where I can share some of this concept with more people in the home services space. So if I can help you win, that makes me look good. I want our business to be the place, boom. Oh, you need help with business systems? You need help with predictability in your business? You need help with buying back time? Go to Better Than Rich. They know their stuff. That's why if I can help you win and you like this stuff, even today, if you like any of this stuff, after a private one-on-one and a video testimonial would go so far for me, so we can use for marketing, we could use for in our email, right? Like that's where I'm at. That's the phase that I'm at right now of like helping more people in home services think differently. And if you got that from me at all, that'd be amazing. So I'll wrap up with this. I skimmed over my talk, like in the beginning of the talk about my story. But I think it's important to like just kind of like take a second and just go to a therapist because of obvious reasons. You know, you stay in the hospital 8.5 months with your kid, you know, kind of mess with you a little bit. I get passionate about this because if I didn't do what I did in 2016 when I was on a lonely island by myself, knew that I just didn't want to be like dad and like miss kids' basketball games and stuff and grind until I was 83, if I didn't make that conscious choice in 2016, when James was born on New Year's Eve of 2020, at 26 weeks, 1 pound, 4 ounces in an incubator, like my wife became a full-time medical mom. She left her corporate job and like I was doing good in my direct sales office with Cutco, but I was like, I gotta find a way to replace her income. If I didn't figure that out, there's no way that I'd be here right now talking to you. So like this whole grind thing, this hustle culture is just bogus. It's not sustainable. 10 years, where James was saying 10 years, you only get 18 summers with your kids or grandkids. You're gonna grind for 10 years of that? That's insane. That's insane. And also, don't wait for an emergency to happen where it's like, oh, now I have to figure it out. JFK said the best time to work on the roof is when the sun is shining. So I'm here to inspire you to just think differently. At least, you're not gonna have the circumstance that I had, but like, you're gonna wait for a death of a loved one or a disaster to come through like it happened here in Clearwater and Tampa, hurricanes. Like, why wait? Start building that predictability now. Let your business run as an owner without you and focus on your zone of genius, and that's what we're gonna talk about tomorrow. Tomorrow is smart delegation using AI and assistance and helping you figure out how do you build these playbooks, how can you buy back time in a predictable way, how do you install these playbooks into your business and be able to step back so you can focus on these lead dominoes. Because realistically, you might say, great, thanks for the concept, Mike, but I still have to do all this stuff. Awesome, let's help you really strategically buy back some more of your time using some smart delegation and AI and some of those tools that make sense. So we already kind of hit on this. Thank you so much for your time, and that gives me 2.5 minutes for you guys to hang out, do what you want to do. I'll hang up here, and thank you so much. Again, Mike Abramowitz, we'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you. Just listening to Mike for the hour we got to listen to him, I love his concept about just getting stuff done, because there's a lot of information out there and there's a lot of opportunity to learn how to market and a lot of marketing opportunities, but having someone that will focus on finding your bottleneck and then just getting stuff done, that's really important, because at the end of the day, there's 1,000,001 things you can do, but you can only do one thing at a time really well. So really like Mike's concept, and I think it's going to help a lot with a lot of people here at the AOP conference.
My name is Billy Coggins with Nightlight Landscape Lighting in Long Island, New York. Just got done listening to a great talk from Mike from Better Than Rich, and I just wanted to get a chance to get on here and give a quick shout out to him. It was a very inspirational discussion, talking about how buying back your time and learning how to implement systems and workflows into your business to spend time doing what, you know, the real joys in life and with your family and what you like to do. So really looking forward to meeting again with him and starting to implement some of these things that he discussed, and I couldn't recommend, you know, if you ever get a chance to listen to Mike, it's definitely highly recommended.
Hi, I'm Bill Knowles with Northern Outdoor Lighting. We just got out of a session with Better Than Rich, and it's amazing what I took out of that session. It's always so hard to streamline your operations, and he had such great tips for us to get moving on these things, make best decisions for my labor, my office staff, and you know, I'm going to go home and implement these things because, man, everybody needs help, and that was great help right there.